it is going to shape the future of cybersecurity, and what should organizations be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, there are pros and cons to AI, artificial intelligence. The pro is it can automate certain tasking. So I know a few different vendors in the AI space who are using it to power their SOC, so their security operations, to remove false positives and be able to raise triage alerts and raise tickets at a faster rate. So that's a bonus that can really help automate kind of the cybersecurity life cycle in terms of where the information is coming from and where it's going at a faster rate. I'd say the cons of AI in terms of recruitment, using AI to filter through different CVs and cover letters by keyword searches, or possibly AI in the next 5 to 10 years, sooner than that. Could we see it replace early careers and entry level roles? So there's no need to recruit for that area, and actually, the
Yeah.
people coming into the industry, they will be required to meet an even higher benchmark, higher requirements, and they will need
Yeah.
more skills, more certifications on top of
Yeah.
what we're already seeing in terms of the job spec, which is, I would say, too high as it is. So
Yeah.
AI, there's pros and cons. It's able to automate, possibly quicken up the pace for different roles such as security operations, maybe even threat intelligence. We could see AI being used to filter through different open source reports and pull together the key message a lot faster than we can read those reports and do the same thing. So it will help us set pace and speed up different
Yeah.
types of activity, which is great because it helps us as analysts and as leads to have more of the conversations around the
Yeah.
information and focus on the business, focus on the strategy, and focus on the human to human, the people, rather
Yeah.
than the information, the reports. But then,
Yeah.
as I say, with the con already in recruitment, that's what we're seeing. I think just in terms of cybersecurity, AI, one of the trends this year is shadow AI, and it's really heavily being spoken about. And shadow AI
Could you
means
please explain it in what is, shadow AI?
so shadow AI is where employees could be accessing open source AI tools without the company knowing. So there could be a compliance and policy in place to say, please don't access such and such without approval. But because it's not a specific software that you have to get approval to download, it could just be an AI,
Yeah.
could be a
Yeah.
chat, a
Yeah.
GBT service online, similar to ChatGPT, and you could just be, even if you're not asking questions related to your company, you're not necessarily inputting specific information, you still have to be very, very careful with what you're asking these
Yeah.
types of services about, because you never know where it's going and how it's being used
Absolutely.
to train the model. So shadow AI is a bit of a touchy subject because it's hard to regulate. You want to also give employees, you don't want to micromanage your employees. You want to give them freedom of choice and freedom of speech and be able to just do what they want at
Yeah.
work. Trust and
Yeah.
loyalty comes off the back of that. So if you're constantly asking these types of questions, where are you getting your information from? It puts a
Yeah.
barrier in place. So it's really hard with that topic area. And then also AI, just in terms of the large language models, when they're being created, if there's any misconfigurations around that, or threat actors being able to target LLMs for data poisoning, so trying to retrieve the data or manipulate it to insert biases, so the information coming out isn't what we want it to be. There's just a lot of concerns around AI in the future. But I mean, in emerging tech, not just AI, but quantum computing,
Yeah.
cryptography.
Yeah.
There are a lot of ways that emerging tech can go in the next few
Yeah.
years' time in terms of monitoring these trends. That's what we do in threat intelligence and across cybersecurity, just keeping on top of it, on top of laws and regulations that are
Yeah.
governing emerging tech and AI, and seeing where it will go, but knowing that you can use it for good and it can be really beneficial to your organization and to your business,
Yeah.
but always being
Yeah.
aware that there are risks in place, and it's road mapping those risks possibly against your organization and saying, well, if we do this, this can happen. Okay, so how are we going to put in these recommendations to help combat that if it ever
Yeah.
does take place?
Yeah. So the pros will be automation, of course, and it is definitely going to be time saving and Yeah, basically it is going to save organizations resources, and the cons will be recruitment, because now you would need all the, I would say, the basic tasks are already being done by AI. Not basic tasks, I would say basic, and I would say something that requires lots of manual effort, that is being eliminated by AI. And when it comes to the shadow AI, because actually this reminds me of an incident in my last firm. So we have, of course, everybody was using AI, but there was an email that no, you have to be very mindful that you are not uploading any PDF in basically chat gpt and asking questions, because that is against the rule. And like you just said, that of course you can't micromanage employees. And also it is not something that organization, again now very few organizations have started building up their own AI, I would say, platforms. But again the number is still far less,
Mm.
and everybody is using it. So yes, there was something that, okay, you cannot upload PDF document, because again the issue that you have just basically, that you don't know how, what kind of data it is storing into, and how it is going to be used. So yeah, so this is something. So yeah, basically when it comes to usage in the organization, you also have to be mindful when it comes
Yeah,
to using, yeah, the tools such as ChatGPT and all.
I think,
Okay.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you say, just being mindful, keeping on top of the trends, not totally discarding technology and saying, well, it's all bad, so we're not going to use any of it. But be doing your own due diligence, I would say,
Yeah.
looking at your business. What do you actually need? Do you
Yeah.
need to use AI, and what's the use case around that? It's all about building the use cases.
Mhm.
It's the same way as if you wanted to go to the board about investment for a cybersecurity program. What's the return on investment? Why do you need this program? What does the trajectory look like in terms of the roadmap in 12 months' time? Do the same with AI and any tooling really that you're wanting to use, any software. What's the use case? Yeah.
So, what fundamental practices should organizations, adopt to maintain a robust cybersecurity hygiene? What are their 3 to 4 points that they need to basically be prepared, or prepare, fundamentally?
I would say, having worked with clients in the past, in the beginning, it's really just getting comfortable with your business. So, what are your crown jewels? What are your assets in terms of your technology, your suppliers, the industry that you're operating in, your region? Are you local or are you global? Really just mind mapping that, the business, first of all, and everything that you need to know, customer employee data, etc. And then after doing that, threat intelligence can come in. It's not a one size fits all, and it's not a whole solution. It will require collaboration with different teams, but then you can start to look at solutions in terms of tooling or software,
Yeah.
cybersecurity. So for me, it's really just getting comfortable with who you are as a business, and then after that, you can start investing in security. And that could be threat intelligence, it could be security operations, vulnerability management, collaborating together to raise tickets on alerts that we identify on different types of activity that can target your company to help protect you. So it's, like I say, it's really just getting familiar with who you are as a
Yeah.
business first, and then you can start implementing solutions. But
So,
I would say my last point on that is another trend that we're seeing is fatigue around tooling. So investing too much, so having 40 to 50 different tools per business, but not actually knowing what those tools are doing and not actually
yeah.
knowing why you've invested all of this money.
Yeah.
And you don't need, like I say, you don't need all of these tooling. Maybe you just need 10 or 15, whatever it is, whatever the
Yeah.
number is. So like I say, it always goes back to having that strategy in place. This is the business. These are the crown jewels. These are the key sticking points. This is the team that we currently have. Do we need to invest in more analysts? And then tooling, who's going to operate that tool? What is the business going to look like in 12 months time? Being prepared for that. It's a process,
Yeah.
and everyone's
So, as
different.
of course, 100%. So basically, before investing in a lots of tools, identify what problems, I mean, is it even, are you even going to use this tool? And yeah, before investing in it, find out, assess its usage within your firm.
Assess the usage, and yeah, assess the usage first,
Yeah. Yeah.
build that use case, and then invest. if you absolutely need to, which you will,
Yeah.
but it's finding the right solutions, not being too hasty about it, getting really familiar with your business. Also, if you're operating in an industry,
Yeah.
what does that industry look like in terms of cybercrime activity? How is it being targeted? What are your competitors doing potentially? And just
Yeah.
building out that picture.
Yeah. So as the technology is growing, it's advancing by every single day. And my next question is, what upcoming cyber threats should businesses prepare for in the next few years? Because we talked about tools. Now, tools are basically to what do you call to prevent cybersecurity threats. So, what are the, I would say, if you could, point out 3 to 4 threats that organizations should be aware of or prepared for? Yeah.
Yeah, I've said them all along. Supply chain compromise, we're seeing data breaches, ransomware. These are types of threats that are just universal across industry, and we will see them continue to grow in the future. Emerging tech, as we've mentioned, with AI, quantum, cryptography, we'll see emerging threats in this space that we haven't preempted as of yet, and they will come to the forefront. So the landscape will change and it will shift geopolitically. We're seeing a lot of movement across the world. There's a lot of instability in the economy, socially. There's a little bit of upheaval that will
Yeah.
potentially continue to grow over the next few years. Could that have an impact on different types of cyber crime activity? Yes, potentially new groups being formed or existing groups coming together and working together as well. So we can't be sure of what will happen in terms of cybercrime and then cybersecurity in the years to come. But if we can just, and I've mentioned it all the way through, keep on top of existing trends, making sure that you bolster security within your environment, that's a way that we can do it. And you do it through tracking activity, if there are any IOCs attached to different groups, so indicators of compromise, which can be domains or IPs. You can monitor this, you can block it, make sure that it doesn't get inside your organization. And yeah, that's those are the different ways, really.
Okay, that was really, I would say, useful to know because you should be aware of upcoming threats and challenges and also how you are going to tackle those challenges. So my next question is how has mentoring played a role in your career and how do you approach mentoring others?
Yeah, so I think mentoring for me, as I said earlier on in the podcast, not having a mentor during the beginning of my journey, it made me want to help other people because I know how hard it can be when you're trying to go through figuring out which career do you want or figuring out which company you want to work for. It can be really hard and tough and a little bit lonely. And we've touched on loneliness already. So I think mentoring and coaching for me, I try and do as much of it as I possibly can, even if that means attending a virtual coffee in the morning or the afternoon, meeting up with somebody in person, or even I have certain people message me and they just drop me their CV and I have a look over it and I offer some feedback and
Wow.
that's it. They're happy with that. So it's a two-way street. Some people really want me to meet with them, talk them
Yeah.
through, help them with
Yeah.
their interviews, getting them ready, and then others just want me to have a quick look over their CV. They're happy, they go off. I touch base with them in a few months and they're doing fantastic things. Yeah, mentoring is all about just giving back as much as I possibly can. Yeah.
Yeah, you at to some level you also have to enjoy mentoring because you should feel from within that because I think you would want to help people like from within, not that you're being forced to mentor somebody, but if you are willing to mentor somebody, there has a lot to do with something that you want to do, then you are forced to do. I
Yeah,
think
it's
yeah,
definitely a choice. You don't have to mentor if you don't want to, because mentoring can be quite draining sometimes. You're having to talk to somebody, relay your experience, listen to theirs. Mentoring and coaching, it's all about being a sounding board, trying to get the other person to find the solution themselves, and you offer advice potentially, but all the more you're just a guide. You're meant to guide people, share your knowledge. I think we need more mentoring in cybersecurity. There is a lot of it already,
yeah,
but the more we can help others we can then retain the great talent that's coming in. They won't leave in a couple of years' time. They know that there's progression there. They know they can grow, they can get promoted, they can do amazing things in their career. So it's sharing that knowledge as well and
Yeah.
helping, again, as I keep saying, it's just helping as much as possible.
True, true. So, Alex, at the beginning of the call, you talked about how it was your resilience that made you basically learn about the cybersecurity and step into this industry, even though, it was challenging when you entered, but you tackled it through your resilience. So now, how do you foster resilience and adaptability within your team? How do you do that? Like from personal to when it comes to, yeah.
I think it's not acting as if I know everything. So a big thing for me is leaning on others is really big in leadership. It's
Yeah.
giving people, it's finding solutions for your team and it's coming with a problem solving mindset. But once you've offered out your opinion, let the team go off and do their thing. Let them
Yeah.
come back to you with their own set of challenges or their own set of solutions. Let them be free and
Yeah.
be human beings, even at an entry level through to mid and senior. Just being open to them and open to opinions, open to feedback, not pretending, like I say, as if you know everything and that you've got a big ego, humbling yourself.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
cyber, I know that people want to reach leadership, want to be a CISO or a CEO or a CIO, whatever the title is, be a partner, be on a board. But in some ways, like I say, it's just humbling yourself and
Yeah.
be always being open and willing to learn and to educate and be around people, different types of people as well. So it's resilience. It's such a fascinating word. It used, like I say, it used to be for me being open to feedback, always learning, always educating, and that just continues. Just always
Yeah.
continues. I never feel like I'm done really in
Yeah.
cyber. It's a great place to be because as the industry is evolving, over time you have to evolve and adapt with it, and it's just always goes back to continuous learning, continuous ways to upskill, getting to know yourself, what your skills are, where there are gaps, trying
Yeah.
to do trying to work with people, not siloing yourself. You can work
Yeah.
independently, but ultimately cyber is a team effort, so you need to collaborate with others in your team, but then also externally through events, conferences, meeting with people, learning different ways to tackle
Yeah.
the same problem.
Yeah. True that. True that. Basically, a constant learning and always, being there for your team and let them do their thing. And yeah, of course, that is what makes a great team. And I think in the process, you also end up learning something from them because yeah. So I 100% agree with that principle. So, Alex, you wear many hats. Basically, you do so many things. Like,
Too many, too
from
many.
from mentoring to basically you also coach. Yeah, you also basically coach women into leadership, and you're also into cyber security for organizations, and yeah, there and personal branding. There's a lot of things that you do. Podcasting. You have your own podcast channel.
I
So
do.
my question, while doing all of it, how do you maintain balance between your personal responsibilities and your professional life?
For me, I don't really have work-life balance, and that's not something that everybody will agree with, and it's not something that people will
Yeah.
necessarily want to hear, but I don't. For me, cybersecurity is my career, it's my life. It's what I wake up every day and I want to do. The podcast that I have, it's not totally cybersecurity related. So I have had guests come
Yeah.
on who are in cyber careers, but the podcast Take a Chance on You is for anybody. Anybody can come on. The idea is I want people to stop thinking that they have to make this amount of money, live in this location, or have this many years of experience before they deem themselves successful. I want them to come on and tell their stories now. So that extends cross industry. So I've had
Yeah.
guests come on for marketing, business, musical
Yeah.
theatre, dance, other industries that I can't think of,
Yeah.
but I've had them cross industries. So, but take a chance on you. I guess I could say that is more so personal life rather
Yeah.
than my professional, but they all intertwine.
Yeah.
It's a nice, the podcast is great because I get to spend an hour or two just not doing anything. My role is to listen to the guests. The episodes, I don't really talk, I segue the guests into different areas, but ultimately that's their platform. They get to do whatever they want with it. So that's up to them.
Yeah.
So I guess possibly the balance is I have that time to just
Yeah.
explore my creative side and my
Yeah.
passion without me even really knowing it. But
Yeah.
ultimately, the work-life balance, it's not really something I advocate
Yeah.
for me because I like to be in the chaos. I like to be in the hustle and bustle, working on my career, the podcast, working with organizations, building my personal brand. It just all
Yeah.
aligns and meshes together, and that suits me. I
Yeah.
like that. But don't get me wrong, listening to podcasts, reading books, although they might be still related to my field, that's downtime enough for me. Or I will
Yeah.
spend a Sunday afternoon, I'll spend a couple of hours going for a walk, or
Yeah.
there's a film that I want to see at the cinema this weekend, so I'm going.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
little moments like that which I will take for myself, and
Yeah.
or if I finish work and I've worked all day and I finish early evening and I know that I've had enough, I will finish. I won't do any more. So
Yeah.
it's getting used to your own ways of working, knowing when